Welcome to webinar where we are going to discuss about first half results, which were released to the stock exchange 2 days back. So, sure, I will presentation, and after the presentation, we can questions. So we have the top team of NDB. Some of them you can see with me. So if there's any question to their specific area, they're able to provide clarification. Okay. This you. NDB is I think one of the unique banks here where we have, apart from the banking group, we have the investment banking arm, which and also the management, the stockbroking arm, and also the management side. So all in all, as a group, and in, of course, the DHPL, which is a 58% subsidiary with balance with EDB. All the group, the major development during the first half was, I believe, relocation of NDB Capital holding in a new location at Bauda Lokamawata, where NDB Investment Bank, the wealth management, the stockbroking arms, everyone got relocated, and we got the Central Bank approval also to open our own branch there. So it happened shortly. So this is actually a one-stop shop in terms of the investment banking. All the services provided under roof. So I would say as one of the development that happened within the NDB group. In terms of presence, we have 106 branches now. During the first half, 2 branches were added to our network, Kottawa and Katana, and 118 ATMs. The mobile, I think one of the, that's a mobile app that's most awarded mobile app. I think it's a way of reaching to the clients apart from the branches. And we just crossed 2 billion transactions for months transacted through the mobile app. About close to 200,000 transactions during the first 6 months. Shows that through digitally also we are trying to expand our reach, and this is one way that we reach our clients. So 2 billion within 6 months is substantial number of transactions. In terms of the social media presence, bank is quite active. I think our site alone we have over 400,000 in terms of social media. So we'll continue to capitalize on the one in the network and also the other digital channels to reach our clients and provide our services. That's our plan. In terms of that we received during the first half, we have been received a number of awards. I think the Asian Bank and Finance magazine in the retail awards, we categorized as the best domestic retail bank. For 2 is the consecutive year that NDB has won that. And for our SME, the best SME bank, and our mobile banking initiative of the year those were recognized. The Asian Bank and Finance Magazine of Singapore, again, for wholesale banking, domestic finance bank, that's the third consecutive year we won. And for cash management, the best domestic cash management bank of the year 2017, that's for the consecutive year. So both the retail and corporate side, and including cash management, we have been internationally recognized. And local awards, IT01 award recently for the mobile app, and also Lanka Pay Technovision awards, again, we runners up, but I would say among the bankers, our mobile app was adjudged as the best mobile banking app. Management organization, again, has recognized the contribution in terms of our activities in developing skills and also their contribution to the society. In addition to that, Global and Finance recognized us this year 3 awards for the best mobile banking application and as best SME bank, and also for our investor relationships, the best investor relationship. I think I would say that, okay, these kind of discussions with investors, with analysts, will continue to have these kind of forums and be recognized through best investor relationship bank. And then from the marketing side, CMO Gold and Global Brand Excellence Awards held in Kuala Lumpur, bank recognized with 2 awards, and the top of the NDB group, Global recognized us as most trusted investment brand for Sri Lanka. Asian Money Banking Awards, Best Corporate and Investment Bank in Sri Lanka. And for Money, recently they have recognized both investment bank in Sri Lanka as our branch in Bangladesh as best investment bank in these countries. So some awards I thought that we should share with all of you, and I mean, we continue to with the kind of recognition actually that motivates us and all our staff to do what we are doing best, which is providing financial services to our customers. Some economic update, what we believe from our analysts and from our treasury, the input that we have received. The global economy is still slowing down. What we saw was around 3.5% growth in 2017, and global output predicted to be around 3.6% in 2018. And monetary policy normalization in some advanced economies, the US, that can trigger some unanticipated tightening in the global financial condition. So, apart from that, in the Sri Lankan economy, we saw growth coming down. First quarter 3.8%. The second quarter would be much lower, naturally due to the flood effects and even on one side the drought effect that we are experiencing. So headline inflation has gone up slightly to 6.1% and 5% respectively, and inflation is projected to be moderated to middle digits by 2017 and thereafter. So we do take these assumptions in our decision making in terms of our pricing, especially for deposits, take on the longer term deposits. And then we are seeing a gradual depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee from 149 to 154, 2% depreciation in the first half. And market interest rate, we are seeing a slight reduction in the interest rate in terms of the deposits, and we would expect that trend to continue for the second half as well. About the banking sector, the SDR and SLFR remained at 7.25 and 8.75%. And year asset growth up to May, we have seen is roughly about 49.9% growth as assets and 2% growth in deposits, the industry growth. Yet our numbers are slightly above the industry average. In terms of rate, the recent development, I would say, is the cap on the interest rates from 24%, and also the cap the penal rate, which is for any overdue or authorized excess, which was capped at 2% and removed. So it's more risk-driven, market-driven kind of arrangement which has been put into place from 1st of July. So that's something I would say a new development in the banking sector, which was many years back, which was later on capped. More financial performance on the first half. In a summarized format, you would see the profitability of the bank, operating income that has grown 32%. This is year-on-year comparison from half 2016 versus first half 2017. So from 0.4 billion to 0.1 billion in terms of net operating income. Expenses has gone up only by 5%. We have been managing it quite well, from 10 billion to 3.3 billion. Result, the profit after tax figure has improved 81%. This is at the group level, from 1.2 billion to 2.3 billion. So almost 1 billion in terms of quantum. There's an improvement in profit after tax year on year. In the balance sheet, total assets, we had 9% growth. This is actually comparison from December 2016 to June 2017, 6 months, from 335 billion to 365 billion, about 30 billion increase in assets, 9%. Loans, that has substantial growth, from 228 billion to 252 billion. That's 11%. That's 25 billion growth in loans. In terms of deposits, it has grown by about 35 billion, from 204 billion to 209 billion, a 17% growth. Income ratio has improved from 49% previous year to 43.2%. The area that we were focusing. Then the other major improvement is under NIM, from 2.64 here, December to 2.74. So that's roughly about 10 basis point increase in NIM, which area that we have continued to focus and trying to one. So you would see that figure is gradually improving. On equity, improved again by about more than 100 basis point, 150 basis point, from 13.3 to 14.3. Still, we have to keep on improving. This is still over the industry average level, but that's one area that we are focusing, especially which is part of our strategic plan. One key improvement is the NPA ratio from 2.6%. It has improved to 2.22%. A substantial improvement in terms of the credit quality. Is below industry average. In terms of business capacity, the loan to deposit ratio again good improvement from 115% here to now 108% as at June. So we'll continue to work on the area where self-finding our own lending book at 108%. And then on the capital adequacy ratio wise, we are maintaining 12.16% ratio, still well above the requirement in terms of both regulatory requirement and also our own internal capital assessment requirements. Liquidity ratio is maintained well above the minimum 20%, right, 22.3%. Some detail about the income statement. Net out of this total income, that interest income, we had first half 2016 versus first half 2017, 17% growth. In terms of quantum, 706 million growth from 4 billion to 4.7 billion. Income again, more than 700 million growth in other income, from 1 billion to 1.8 billion. So that's actually a 62% growth. Operating income has grown by from 6.2 billion to 7.7. Others, compared to last year first half, which was 820 million, this is 581 million. About 200 million in terms of impairment charges, mainly the portfolio quality improvement. And last year, of course, there was substantial specific impairment that we made as well on one particular account. That was in terms of operating expenses, quite a good progress in terms of it. The growth is only 5%, 3.1 billion to 3.3. We will discuss more about it in the next slide. As a result, the operating profit level shows an improvement from 2.0 billion to 0.8 billion. About 1.5 billion increase in the operating profit level. There's a naturally 55% growth in tax with the improvement in the profit. Roughly 1,965 million, and it has gone up to 1.5 billion. After tax, 81% growth, and profit attributable to the shareholders at a group level, 30% growth from 1 billion last first half to 1.486 billion, about 100 million increase in level. So in PT, you would see that the overall profit operates a 70% growth. This is partly due to a dividend income received from the group companies. But if you count the dividend income, the growth in both PBT and profit after tax level here is 56% and 63% respectively. So which shows that even without the group dividend, for banking side, a substantial improvement in terms of contribution to the profit after tax level. This is more detailed analysis about revenue. Then the interest income, you see 36% growth in interest income. Quantum-wise, 4.7 billion growth income. Growth in advances. We had quite a substantial growth year on year in terms of substantial growth, plus the interest rate increase. Expenses, again, from 8.9 or 9 billion to 12.9, 30.4 billion increase in interest expense. As a result, the NIM, net interest income, grew about 740 million from billion to 4.7 billion. That's 17% growth in NII. Increase in the expenses due to change the composition of the bank's deposit portfolio, where the CASA now remains around 22%. Now, you would have about 10 point improvement to the NIM from 2.64 to 2.74. Mainly, one is volume growth, but the NIM has gone up to repricing of our book. So, shift towards more retail and SME credit. So, we are also looking at over return to the bank whenever we take a decision in terms of dispersing funds. So, I mean, those three measures have contributed in improving NIM. We continue to focus on. Interest revenue side, we had 6% growth year on year from 1 billion to 1.141 billion. Fee and commission income side, the 17% growth from 456 million to 533. And from financial investments, again, there's a slight drop from 28 million to 122 million. Trading income, substantial growth, that's from 556 million to 1 million. Yeah, actually the group dividend that we have received compared to 556 million last year, 1 billion. So that's where the growth is. Total non-interest income, 30% growth from 2.2 billion to 2.9 billion. In terms of growth, including the group dividends, is about 12%. And net fee commission growth is about 6%. We are working really on targeting this NII to net fee income ratio to grow to a mix like 70-30. So that's the area that we are working on, improving our fee-based income further. Expenses, we see about only overall 5% growth. There's a personal expenses about 2% reduction. The major things that contributed to this drop, despite we increasing the staff benefit. One, the number of reduction from 2,100 to now it's about 1,070. It's about enough number of staff reduction. Some other movements of some of the senior management level turnover that happened during the latter part of last year. So the increase first half versus this first is a 2% reduction. Going forward, I think we are looking at salary revisions and some market survey numbers expecting. So all we would say that we would expect about some increase, about 5 to 7% increase when it comes to the year end. In terms of the 16% growth from 1.2 billion to 1.4, 200 million increase. That's really due to VAT increase percent to 15%. Plus, of course, our deposits have grown substantially at 48 billion 2016 to June 2017. 4 billion growth in deposits. So naturally, there is insurance cost as well, which we are like all the other banks. So that is also part of increase in the other expenses. Plus, during this 1 year, 4 new branches were added onto the system. And also we had 2 product launch during first half, which we'll come to discuss more in detail later on. But with all that, we have managed to keep the cost increase to 5%. Balance sheet. 1% increase in balance sheet from 334 billion to 364. This is December versus June 2017. It's coming from the loans and advance from 7 billion to 252 billion. That's some growth. In liability side, the growth is coming from deposits from 200 to 239. So 36 billion growth in deposits. And we have been consciously concentrating on CASA as well. CASA ratio remains around 22%. More details in the next slide about the CASA improvement. So billion growth, loan growth is about 25 billion, and the growth is about 35 billion. More about the loans and advances, the composition between corporate, retail, and SME, and also project finance. So composition, retail and SME now moved to around 39%, and an area where we would be focusing more in gradually increasing this retail and SME focus to make of our presence 106 branches on the island to make use of that. So that's an area that strategically we are focusing on. One is on the LKR to foreign currency mix. Right now it's 76 to 24%. Targeting to improve into more LKR lending, so 5 to 15% kind of that we are looking at in the next 3 to 4 years. But in all, 5-year relative growth rate is about 20% in loans and advances last 5 years, which maintaining the same. In fact, this year it's slightly above that rate. The portfolio is very diversified. In manufacturing area, that's 22%. That's the largest exposure. But quite a pie chart, and the NPL ratio, you'd 22. It has improved to 2.2% from 6.3% in December. I think there are any major stresses in the portfolio. We are quite at the portfolio quality, and the impairments that have gone up are mainly due to some specific that we have looked at. I think asset quality, we are quite comfortable with the asset quality. That we had substantial growth, year to 17% growth. If you annualize, it's roughly 34% growth. Plus 5-year average is about 20%. This growth coming from the LKR and foreign currency deposits, and also from CASA as well. So we did introduce 2 CASA products during latter part of first half, investment planner, and also earlier the women's savings product. We see quite a good progress on those 2 products as well. All the CASA growth alone, in terms of absolute numbers for the 6 months, about 6 billion growth in CASA in this month. We would continue to focus on improving our low-cost deposit base, so all in all to improve our NIM. In terms of capital adequacy, we are well above the regulatory requirements. So we are compliant with the new Basel III regulations, which came into effect from 1st of July. Pillar 1, as per those requirements, Pillar 1, Tier 1 is 7.25, and ratio of 11.25. We are at the moment at 9.4 and 12.8%. We are quite with the minimum requirements. We are naturally on our capital planning exercise with our growth, so that would continue. And as and when it seems fit to capital, we would ensure that the capital would be brought in. What we are working on is improving the RO numbers. Now, the return unfortunately reflects the market conditions as well. It's currently trading around 144, right? Per share, that has improved from 19.1 to 22.8 rupees. ROE, 100 basis point increase from 13.3 to 14.6, actually 100 basis point increase. Again from 0.99 to 1.1% ROE improved. Per share, the 10 rupee increase from 149 rupees to 159, and book value, it's 0.9%, sorry, 90%. So that's where I think what to do. That's actually the market perception. The book value, currently it's traded at 104 against a book value of 159, 104.2 against a book of 159. So that's some our presentation. Now aim for questions. Post your question, and we would read that question and come up with the clarification as and when you post your question. Protected provisions during difficult work. We had to select. Can see the question. I have several questions, so I have to go by the order. One question is, what portion of your lending book is on floating rates and what portion on fixed rates? Niran from the Treasury would clarify on that.
The substantial and significant amount is in floating rates currently. And very significant part is on the fixed rate component. On the retail side, so the larger portion of the balance sheet is more in the variable rate.
Do you see any further scope for repricing the current loan book? Or any future NIM gains come from new loans? Definitely. I mean, pricing structure we have revised, so definitely there are still scope for improvement in terms of NIM pricing. Plus, naturally, the growth that we are expecting also since the growth, most of the growth coming from the retail and SME, again, the margins will be higher. I think the answer to both are yes. There's still scope for improvement in our existing book, plus loans that we are booking would come at a price. Sorry. What is being so? In strategy to grow the SME portfolio from current size, what is the target composition of the loan book? And we have 100 branches, and of that, 55 branches have been added in the last 5 years. And where we see significant opportunity in growing our SME portfolio, and being origins are development banking. So naturally the credit skills level of our branch managers, the regional network is quite high. So we capitalize on that inbuilt talent. So we will continue to focus on making use of our presence and also our own talent in assessing credit. So naturally, most of the credit would come from the real network in terms of SME, plus a focused approach on the retail side. We have the sales team, and I think the largest personal loan portfolio in the market. So continue to make use of those strengths to grow our retail book as well. How much of the deposit book is maturing under 12 months?
As a percentage-wise, it's basically about 35% of our portfolio is still less than 1 year, which is a large portion of the portfolio. Mainly, I think it's more or less line with the industry, but the thing that if our sales accounts, sales growth as per the budgeted numbers, and then that's the strategy, that's the way forward. Then of course the duration of our liability portfolio will go beyond one year.
Okay. Question, I think there are a couple of questions on a similar, so I thought I should answer that. Explain the big drop in NPL ratio. I think naturally the denominator, the growth in advances, denominator goes up, the ratio naturally would come down. But on the quantum side, there's substantial improvement in terms of one is recovery side, another long overdue, actually long recognized NPLs that have been fully provided. Actually, they were recognized as NPLs about 8 years back, fully impaired, were taken out from the book. So overall, one is the recoveries, one is some of the old is taken out from the book, plus the growth in advances. So it's a combination of all have contributed to a lower NPL ratio compared to December numbers. A related question, what are the NPLs with respect to SME and NPLs with respect to retail? I would say that sector is wide, and then the risks are very well spread. In fact, the retail side, the NPL numbers are much lower than our 2.2%. Same with SME, and say that all in line with the average NPL rate. It's quite well spread among all sectors. There are no but a stretch sector as such in the portfolio. There are questions about the digital banking side, to what they use the digital products to grow the business. I think that's a mission. That's one area that we are focusing on. When assessment, we realize that about 60% of our transactions are through digital channels. But what to do is to focus and have more focus on that approach. So that's in our strategic plan also, we'll be having a very key area in looking at digital channels. Of course, lab, as I mentioned, is one of the great way customers, and we, as I mentioned, more 2 billion transactions through the mobile app. I would say that one of the best mobile app available in the country. And we would like that, continue to focus on more digital based part of safe transaction, the common ATM switch. So many things that we can work on using the technology. So that's an area we are focusing really in terms of improving further on the digital channels. Question about the split between retail and SME. Last was 50-50 off the top of my head. It's changed materially. Is no, it's still around 50-50, both the retail and SME. These are two areas we would go. Sanjay, want to add anything here?
Yeah, I think both sides we are aggressively focusing on. So I think at the moment it's 50-50. I think we will make sure that we achieve our targets.
The bank's exposure to property development, and also what is the exposure to mortgage home loan segment. Property sector will be on the property sector. We are very selective depending on the location, the saleability of it, the price of it, and we have been progressing very selective basis, and we have not been going on what has been coming. Home loan exposure, I say it's not substantial. It's part of our retail business. So it's even less than 10% of the overall lending book. So home loan also, the NPLs are quite very much under control. It's less than 10% of the overall lending book. To expand your branch network? If so, how much would be? Questions about capex per branch and per branch. I think general number. The number of employees we have a model based on the location and based on the potential to have a minimum number of staff, ensure that the staff service levels are maintained. Based on that model. As and when the transactions increase, so the volume of that particular branch increase and branch upgrades to a different level, naturally number of staff would be allocated. So model that we are working on. Of branch growth, yes, we have plans to grow officially, and naturally we need to get the regulatory approval as well on that. Apart from the branch growth, also looking at other channels. The channel that earlier questioned was the digital channel. So we would read that as well as another way to customers. That's already met leverage ratio and liquidity coverage ratio under Basel III guidelines. So in the
we will have the minimum requirements for LCR, which is 80%. We are actually above 150% currently. And even on the leverage ratio, we are supposed to maintain a maximum 5%. We are well below the ratio. So we are more comprehensive.
That's a question. KPIs of your new 2020 strategy with IFC. Okay, I take this opportunity to very broadly discuss about that. We have looked at our position here and then compared to the market and have reviewed our book, also transactions. Past 3 months, we realized there are a lot of areas where we can improve on. So with that, we have worked on a strategic plan. Right now, we are working on more than some of those streams that are dedicated project champions, and to a very third approach, we monitor the progress. All in all, by 2020, what we are looking at is substantial growth in asset base, and actually to be systemically important by 2020. And in terms of balance sheet mix, I would say more, which I had earlier, LKR exposure compared to foreign currency exposure. Naturally, would happen when our focus is more on the retail and SME space. In terms of ROE, naturally have highest come average level or above, so naturally it's more than 18% ROE. In terms of NIM, to have a more actually better NIM and also aim to fee income, contribution coming from fee income. So we have addressed all areas that we need to work on, and now that strategic plan is now in force. I've shared with the staff, and there are a lot more development that is taking place in 6 months, and the real benefits of this new strategic initiative will from next year onwards. That's a question. New products contribute to CASA growth that they available. The 6 months, I think both these products came in the latter part of actually June. One product was introduced in mid of late June, product actually in this month. So it's well to talk about the contribution to the CASA numbers from these two products. But the current numbers that we are seeing getting from the branches are quite actively working on those products. What exactly happened was that branches also have some products to now the clients, and that was a vacuum that we filled through these products that were there of requirement for a long time. There's one textiles, what is included in the manufacturing sector NPLs? Any matters?
Under the textile, it was plantation sector, and which has been very much controlled, monitored.
What currency loans mainly constituted of import-export loans or any other sector? I would say it's
about 80% is 85% is imported.
85. Does the bank intend to grow its funding portfolio in second half? Naturally, it has to be a cautious growth. That's a product that we have, and branches are quite equipped with that product. So we would look at growing that sector cautiously, not significant portfolio, but we look at that some other branches, staff, and also the customers who require that kind of product. So where the particular area where that is applicable, we would seriously look at those areas and continue to grow in that sector. contributed to other income. There's a question on what are the key contributors to the other income. Other income, I would say,
our normal fee and trading income and forex income, we also had group dividends. So if you get those, there is still a 12% growth from our core banking operations on related income.
Of loan growth, which you think will benefit, have been an impact to leasing from the loan to value ratio reduced for motor vehicles and trishows. I mean, naturally, trishows are not in a loan book, so we would actually look at the middle income category, and we had not seen a big impact due to loan to value ratio changes, and our leasing portfolio is quite healthy and now to continue to grow. We are not seeing that much of an effect due to that. Impairments, all the impairments decline on half-year basis during the quarters. It saw an increase by 2% to 440 million from 333 million. What was for quarterly impairment growth? Right. I think the one is that we looked at more granular level specific impairment, especially that's right, as we move forward in focusing on SME space, we need at the granular level the specific impairment. So we have the threshold levels down to lower levels so that we can actually consider a sector of accounts under specific impairment. And that was the reason that the specific impairments were relatively high. But on the other hand, the collective impairment, naturally with the growth in the advances, 25 billion growth in advances, when you apply the model, naturally a growth, with the growth in advances, the impairment numbers are also growing. So that's the reason for the growth in the second quarter, the impairments. That's information. Some out of question. I have a question because some questions that the options, by the way, I'm quite encouraged with the enthusiasm from the investors and also analysts. To see whether we have missed any particular question. Fixed that we share that, yeah. About 50% in last 2 years. Why does NDB have higher tax rate than peer banks? Student, you want to clarify? Lower.
Yeah. Reported, as per the reported numbers, our effective tax rate is 39% for the 6 months. Of course, there is dividends which is exempt from income tax. So remove that. It was a 52% growth, 52% effective tax rate, which with the FS at income tax altogether, it's as per the industry, it's about 55% effective tax rate. So I think I'm on par with the industry.
That's a question. Your view on interest rates. You like that?
Interest rates, I think probably we have seen a decline in the government bills and bond yields. There's quite a lot of liquidity in the market. So that has been created that the interest rates are tending to stabilize or come down a little bit in the next 2 quarters. So that's the view also. So based on that, we are taking certain repricing decisions. In the better, we'll see that our teams and all that to improve. So basic answer is that we expect the rates to decline a little bit from the present levels going for the next 6 months.
LKR expectations on LKR depreciation, Niran.
Yeah, I think it is very clearly communicated by the central bank and also by the governor that the exchange rate will be determined by the market forces, demand supply, and they will not intervene, especially by selling in the exchange. So that we expect currently the currency depreciated by about 2.5 to 2.2%. So I think the same trend will continue, and also we have seen inflows coming in even during the last couple of weeks. Certain flows have come into the bond market, and also the certain other remittances, and also some of the infrastructure for different purposes. Some of the large chunks are expected to be here. So we feel that the market will not be much volatile. Should there be a gradual devaluation, maybe with about another 2 to 2.5% room is there.
No plans, any plans for a capital issuance this year? And the second question is, has the mix between working capital loans and capital expenditure type loans varied materially over the last year? Capital issuance, we would actually the growth in advances book and take a decision. Right now, we are quite above the Basel III requirement. In terms of numbers, we manage. But however, if the growth continues and if we see if early next year the growth level, we would definitely look at a capital infusion. One has balance the optimal level of capital and the growth. So that's an area we would continue to focus on. In terms of mix between working capital loans and fixed loans, major variance occurred last year. I mean, I'm not seeing any major variance in terms of capital versus the fixed loans. Source of loan growth in terms of new customers versus existing customers. Both areas that we have quite a good set of plans. I mean, naturally the NPL level industry average. If there's opportunity to grow those clients, they also have plans to expand. Naturally, that we have our first preference to support our existing clients. And with the branches, new opening of branches and all, there are opportunities for us to look at new clients. So it's actually coming from both. The question not related to finances, but in the whistleblowing incident published recently, I think I had to clarify that I did internal inquiry. There were two incidents, and both those inquiries are now concluded. And based on those reports, actually, there's no material case for that particular incident. And with regard to the disciplinary matters, the board has decided to take the disciplinary certain decisions on the disciplinary issues. So, the report actually came only this week. Decided to work on based on the report. Other incident that was actually gave some bad again to the bank in terms of selection of the annual report selection process. There again, there was a internal inquiry as well as we got external auditors to have a separate inquiry, and that has come out very clearly that there was no it as such from directors or chairman level in terms of selecting this particular service provider. Apple provider had been providing annual report services for the last year, and there's no basis for that kind of allegation. So the board's inquiries are over, so both in the process of taking whatever action needed with regard to the personnel involved. Percentage of loans is asset backed versus non-asset backed, working, etc. What have these been extended to? I think possible we would assess the working capital cycle of the SME account and work facilities based on the working capital cycle. So there are situations where if the customer is unable to substantiate it with their financials or their flows, naturally where we have to rely on some sort of a secondary repayment source, which is some asset mortgage. So if we look at the cash flow based lending, we look at the cash flow, so that's the primary source of lending. And the security is coming as only as a secondary source of lending. So hard and fast rule of what percentage should be backed by assets, because as we grow our book, naturally we need to look at the cash flows. But in case of a distress situation, that's where a security comes and help us to assess recovery process. So a very better and scientific way of evaluating credit, and I would say quite a series of small accounts are quite well secured in terms of our exposure to smaller customers. There's a number of questions, so I need the website interest rate heading. Some of the repeat questions. So, how much was capped at 24% interest rate? A very interesting question. We are yet to review that, by the way. So, thank you for that question. The book is capped 10%. So, if that rupee to foreign currency at 75%. So that 70% is was capped at 24. It's a market-based situation, but one has to be very careful not to go and just whack the customers because they are unable to pay it on time. One has to be very careful, otherwise it will mean as a potential NPL. So I think all banks are taking a very practical approach here. Just the cap is removed, I don't think bank will take that actions to go and charge higher rates. We are very responsible in that manner. So continuously look at who we price appropriately and take and that's why even the central bank is also ensure that all banks adhere to a very practical of having the cap has been removed. So also follow very strictly how handle this. But there are cases where deliberate intention to payments or delay payments. Naturally, that's where we make use of interest rate to pressurize such clients who are intentionally deferring payments to payments faster. You have to go for further foreign borrowings. Since one of the areas that we are focusing is the rupee to foreign currency mix, and on the rupee side, I think there is a need for us to consider more foreign borrowings. In fact, we have some of the existing borrowings that we already have, which is to have, or we can look at repricing them. So that's actually assessment that is currently taking place, not go for fresh foreign borrowings. Okay, it will be the impact of the IFRS 9 can change on NPL recognition, if any. Have you done assessment?
Yeah, recognition, if I start that will as per the central bank guidelines. On IFRS, on 9, we have engaged Ernst & Young, and they are currently reviewing our portfolio in detail, and models are being developed. So the impact will be known actually by the latter part of the year.
What does it? Huh? Yeah, now. Another difference between the NPLs as per IFRS and CB requirement as of your books.
Yeah, as explained before, NPLs are it's time-based classification as per the current central bank guidelines. IFRS is on the total exposure based on the sectorial how the sector behaves and the performance of the sector and how the loans are settled. So therefore, we cannot relate the NPL classifications and IFRS accounting for impairment. Currently, since the central bank guidelines are in effect, we have to follow both methods. So with both relations.
Your current ROE is around 12%. Actually, it's not 12%. ROE is about 14.5. Second part of the question is to achieve 18% ROE by 2020 at what age loan growth for 2018 to 2020? There's a question that actually not above average growth rate. We are looking at average growth rate. We are taking action what the regulator is also expecting, and also curtailment of the growth rate in the second half this year. And it should be so that our assumption is to be in the level of industry growth rate, but the improvement is coming from the NIM, which currently 0.7. So that's where significant improvement is coming from. Even with industry rate, we are comfortable that we should be able to deliver those numbers. The business mix, that's where part of the improvement from NIM is coming from more of a corporate high-end market to the retail and SME space, where spread your risk at the same time make use of to work on more SME and the retail lending. I think these are questions that we have received. What is your target NIM by 2020? That NIM is actually the industry average. We are looking at around 3 to 3.5%. So that's the current industry average. That's where we want to be. Right. So we had the fruitful providing clarifications. So thank you for your participation, and also have a press conference on 1st August at 2:00 at Galadari. So if you have any additional, you can clarify those. We'd like to invite you all for that as well. But thank you for all the questions, and I hope that you had a lot of clarity. And it is really a very significant growth when you compare the industry situation and bank as a whole. This increase, the growth has come from all fronts, project finance, retail, SME, all the segments have contributed to this growth, and their staff has contributed to this growth, and that we are working on a strategic plan. The improvements that we are working on in terms of how we deliver services, the service quality and all. So all, we would expect much more improved results going forward. So keep delivering good numbers. So that's the plan. So thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.